Okay, good afternoon, Professor, fellow teachers from Hong Kong and from other areas. I'm Solomon from Hong Kong, and this is me in Tai O. This is where my school is located. It's actually on the Lantau Island. It's a very small fishing village, and the class size there is also very small. So we only have one class per grade level. We only have 6 classes altogether in our school. And why I would like to say this, because it's actually quite related to how we teach students there. As we have very small class size, and we only have one class per grade level, the variation and the ability of students are actually quite diverse. So it's quite hard to actually teach different kinds of students with various abilities and different educational needs at the same time. And that's why we want to promote certain kinds of e-learning and also some kinds of new ways to allow students to think and hopefully help them to enhance their language ability. And I'm one of the English teachers of my school. Actually, there are only 3 English teachers of my school at my school, and I teach one of the class. And apart from teaching my own class, I also handle the after-school English enhancement class. So it's related to writing, teaching students how to enhance their writing standard. And in the past year, I tried to use the Padlet together with the 6 thinking hats. It's a way developed by the American educational psychologist called Edward de Bono. He talked about how to use different ways to think about a certain topic. For example, we use the yellow hat to think about the positive side of something, the black hat to talk about the negative side of something, white hat about the more objective side of something, the green hat is about the more creative, innovative way of certain topics. So I'm going to walk you through about my own experience. I will not really follow the whole flow of this PowerPoint because it is rather long, but I would just want to tell you about some of my own experience of how I actually try these ways out in my own class. Okay, so the conception, I actually mentioned about it because actually I try to do a certain sorts of experiments. So I divided the original English enhancement class into 2 smaller groups. One is the experimental group and another one is the control group. So the control group, I use the old way of how other teachers teach the students. So for the teachers, before they normally would use the traditional language focused way. So meaning they would more focus on the grammar and also the accuracy of the whole writing when they teach the students how to write a certain passage. So normally, when they give a topic to the students, they would maybe give them certain words and certain sentence structures that they want students to make use of for their own writing. And what I saw from the old way of teaching and learning is that I think that way, a lot of students, they write rather similarly. So although students may have different mindsets, but a lot of the sentence structures and a lot of the contents are actually duplicated in such way. So I would like to discover whether if I can use another way, for example, making use of the Padlet platform to gather students' information and ideas on the same place, together with the new way of thinking, whether I can make use of such integration to enhance students not only their language ability, but also how they write. I just don't want them to follow the same sample all the way along because I think it's not very beneficial for them to move on to the next stage, for example, secondary school, if they still keep on copying the same thing. And okay, so this is the 6 thinking hats. Is a way to help students to think out of the box, think really out of the box and from multiple angles and perspectives. And I know it's not very clear, but it's one of the screenshots of the Padlet. So this is how I would make use of Padlets in my lesson. So normally I would give the students a topic, for example, about jobs. So the students have to think of their own ideas related to the dream jobs. Some of them may want to be policemen, some of them may want to be teachers, some of them may want to be lawyers, doctors, etc. So they can actually put their own ideas in such a way that looks like post-its on the fridge. So a lot of people in the past, they like to use the post-its and send messages to their family members and stick it on the fridge. And this is just how it looks like. It's very convenient, but every student may need a device. It can be a mobile phone, it can be a tablet, it can be a computer. Anything that connects to the internet will do. And they just have to type out their name on top, or it's okay to be anonymous. It's okay for them to not leave their name here. And the most important thing is they can write their own thing and they can comment their peers' messages here. So they can use key here, they can press it and they can comment it. They can like it and they can, for example, write certain things about their peers' messages. For example, one girl, she wrote about she would like to be a policewoman in the future, and her classmates gave her message, oh, it's very unlikely for a girl to be a policewoman in Hong Kong. So they still have this kind of mindset, and this is where I can kickstart with my sixth thinking hat. I can ask those students, why do you think that is uncommon for a girl to become a policewoman in Hong Kong? And whether there are any other perspectives where we can make use of. For example, do you think, using the yellow positive hat, do you think that there are any benefits for ladies to become a policewoman in Hong Kong? Do you think that their family members will support her, and so on and so forth? And I think that by doing so, with the integration of this platform, and also with the use of the sixth thinking hat, which I'm still trying to figure out. I'm actually not very familiar with that, but I'm still experimenting with that. I think it's actually quite useful because both the students learn and me myself learn at the same time. We both learn together. And I can also see how the students think, because I think writing is a very good way to know how the students think about themselves and also their peers. It's a good way to do the self-evaluation as well as the peer evaluation. Okay. So I did the pre-study task right at the beginning of my own experiment. So the pre-study task was that the two groups were separated and they had to do their own writing, but with regards to the same topic. So maybe my dream job. So both groups of students also have to write about their dream jobs. But there are some differences. So for one group, I'll use the traditional language-focused way. For another group, I'll use the way I mentioned just now. So I will make use of the Padlet and also focus more on the discussion part. So allow the students to group together, to form groups, and to make use of the different thinking hats and other ways of thinking to put their ideas onto the platform and comment each other's works. And I just want to skip some of the parts because I may have already mentioned that just now. This is the actual study. So after I introduced those different ways of thinking and also the Padlet to them, I also asked the students to rewrite the writing again to see whether there are any improvements after I introduce this concept to them. And I think that, very interestingly, just after one lesson, I think that the students, they have a new way. They have found out their own ways to make use of this platform, to self-learn, and to write their own passage. And I think it's very inspiring to see that because it's no longer really a sample work, no longer copied from a sample. They have their own ways, although there may be quite a number of grammatical mistakes because of their own standard. It may not be very high, but I think that I'm quite proud to see that they're trying to make a difference in their own writing. And while this is another page of Padlet, which you can have a look. Not only can post words, but also different kinds of images and also video clips. You can post anywhere here, so it's just like a workplace for the students. And finally, I would like to point out one thing is that some of you may think that the traditional way of teaching students the language the more language-focused way may bring out better results in the grammatical accuracy of students' writing. But I found that through this way of students doing research together and find out their own information, their own thinking, their grammatical accuracy and the final output is actually not that bad. So the content and also the language both improve quite a lot after the use of this platform and thinking hacks, and I'm still using it at the moment. So thank you very much once again, and I'm open for other questions in both English and Putonghua and maybe Cantonese later on. Thank you.